Hello, everybody. Welcome into my latest live broadcast. Bring up some lights in here so we can see. Hey, that's better. Today it is the 25th of July. It's Thursday, 2024. My name is CareyHolzman, and thanks you guys so much for joining us. A shout out to our friend Buster right there with a contribution of 10 pounds, joining us from Bonnie, Scotland. He says, hello, Carey and Mara and everyone in the chat. Right on. Hey, Buster, hope you're doing well today. Good to see you, my friend. Also, a shout out and a thank you to Tom Jackson with a $7.77 contribution. Hector Aviles just became a member of the channel. Welcome in, Hector. Yes, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for being members. I see all our friends in green. These are the people who make these videos possible. Without the members, well, there just wouldn't be any videos. So for anybody who has any concerns regarding the status of this video to survive, consider membership if you haven't already. If you enjoy the content you receive for free and you'd like to not see it go away, well, you can certainly help us out here to avoid any sort of big corporate sponsorship just to make commercials for you guys. So we're not going to do that here. I'd sooner shut the channel down, and the vast majority of viewers give nothing in return, and a certain percentage of those are the ones who mostly complain. So, you know, I make the sacrifices for the channel, and I hope that it's appreciated. And we certainly appreciate those back who help support us and make this all possible, so those who don't give back still have free content to watch. So thank you guys so much for continuing to keep us independent and still in full production mode. In fact, we've done a video every single day this week, and that certainly would not have been possible without your support. Today, we have a machine that we paid for. This is a Kodlix machine. Now, Kodlix is a sub-brand of Minisforum. Now, I'm not quite sure why. However, this has the Minisforum quality. I have a theory that maybe the older generation hardware that Minisforum doesn't sell anymore becomes Kodlix. And the reason I say that is this is a flagship processor, 12th gen. Right? So right now, the 13th gen are the flagship mobile processors. I'm not sure if there's any 14th gen mobile processors out. But this is, if you want to buy the latest and greatest technology, you know what, let's have a one-on-one here for a minute. Let's talk about this. I think this needs to be covered. Let me step over here because we need to have a little chat. If you want to buy the latest and greatest technology, you're going to pay the most for it, and you're going to suffer through the consequences of any new generation of product until they work out the bugs, the errors through BIOS updates or whatever. So, for example, AMD's latest 9000 series processors have been delayed because AMD made a decision they weren't being manufactured up to AMD standards. Now look, depending on who's in charge, this could go either way. They could get it out to market and then worry about the returns later, but then you also get the negative press. Now simultaneously, while that's happening, Intel's finding a number of different problems with the 12th and 13th and 14th gen processors for the desktop. And there's not any one single problem. Some of the processors suffer from a microcode issue. Some suffer from oxidation. Some suffer from excessive overvoltage. It's all over the map. And so likely before that even gets fixed, the new 15th gen will be out. And that'll be out probably around the holiday season this year, I'm going to guess. And that's an entirely different type of chip. It's a first generation chip. And if you want to be first and you want to pay the most and you want to suffer through all of the issues of any first generation product, a brand new Ford Bronco, look up all the problems the Bronco had when it first came out, the new one. That's in most recent memory. Look up the issues the Cybertruck has, right? First generation product. So all those people who go first, they pay more and they suffer more. So if you wait to be next, okay, here's the key. I don't want to be first and I don't want to be last. I want to be next. So you wait for that next generation to come out. And the previous generation that had you all so excited just the other day now isn't good enough for you. The difference between them is very minor, except price. Because all of the sheep are all flocking to the marketing, you can choose to be immune to that and see the real value in buying yesterday's flagship that's had time to mature. If there were any problems with this, they'd have been well worked out by now. And because it's less desirable, because there's something just a tiny bit faster out that's brand new, people are going to pay more for that and blow this off like it's yesterday's jam. Is that a thing? Yesterday's jam. The bottom line is a computer like this is going to last you many, many, many years, probably 6 to maybe even up to 10 years. These portable, mobile machines, in the sense that it doesn't have a battery, it's not mobile in that way, but it's very portable, very lightweight. And if you're not opening it up and getting inside of it very often, it'll likely last much, much longer than those who always have to tinker. Now, if you want to tinker with it, go ahead, just accept the consequences of your tinkering. In the meantime, if you're looking for value, right, if you want a good bang for the buck, then you stay away from brand names. Okay, so a Sony television, very expensive compared to, say, a Samsung, which is very expensive compared to Haier or TCL. You might argue the quality's better. I don't know, is it? I mean, manufacturing now is almost identical. In fact, TCL used to make Samsung's monitors as a contractor and then learned from Samsung how to make them and said, well, what do we need Samsung for? We can do it ourselves. So where the American manufacturers were initially in charge, like RCA, and then it went to the Japanese manufacturers like Zenith and Sony, and then it went to the South Korean manufacturers who could build them better and cheaper, like LG and Samsung, and now it's going to the Chinese manufacturers who are building them faster and cheaper and of equal or better quality than South Korea, Japan, or the United States. So essentially, you're seeing Sony go away in the TV market. You're likely going to see Samsung and LG start to fade out as TCL and Haier take over. And this is the way of things, right? They can make them faster, they can make them cheaper, and they can make them better, as good as, or better quality for less money. That's how the market works. They're essentially all building them pretty much using the same components. So regardless of the label that's on the front. Anyway, that being said, you see value where you see value. And if you have I grew up without any money, right? So it's sort of a PTSD for me that I'm always trying to get good value. Even if I could afford to buy the best of the best, I wouldn't unless I was making a video for the channel and I'm doing it for you guys. A system like this, I would never own or invest in a system like that. Never in my life. It's such an overkill waste of money. But there are enough people that spend that kind of money to build a system like that to justify making a video for them. But they are not representative of your average computer owner who owns the vast majority of computers, right? Businesses and homes. This is a small segment that just happens to be a very large segment of YouTube viewers. So it's a little off balance. There's me as a service technician in the real world, and then I have a certain kind of client, like just the average ordinary 90%, 85% of all computer owners. And then you have the internet, where you have a very enthusiastic group of folks who are very passionate about the technology. Most people that I service computers on don't have any passion for them. So when I'm making content here on YouTube, although I really want it to be for those people, they're not coming to YouTube to watch videos. They're not that interested. And so whether I like it or not, I'm getting the enthusiasts who want to see stuff like this. And if that's what they want to see, I'll do it. I don't do it often. It's expensive. And I have to tell you, this is so overkill for what I do. I have no reasonable justification to have this other than I have extra money, or I'm doing it for a purpose bigger than me, which is for you guys. It's my sacrifice and my investment. So you guys have education and entertainment and content to watch at no expense to you. Now, those who choose to support the channel, enable this to happen. Anyway, yeah, forget YouTube revenues. YouTube revenues from advertising is almost zero now. It's so close to zero, it doesn't make any difference. So without your support, we can't survive on views. It's just not going to work. Not anymore. Anyway. I'm always looking for good value, and I don't want to buy cheap crap. I'm not a dumpster diver. I'm not the guy who's going to pull the car over because somebody threw away something at the curb and I'm going to pick it up. I'm not going to pick it up. I'm not doing it. Um, I lived the first 25, 30 years of my life that way, and I hated it. I hated it. The idea of being able to go to a furniture store and buy my own brand new couch and not get something used or handed down, it was a dream. Just to someday be able to afford my own couch that nobody else has ever sat in, a design and a color and a shape and a comfort that I want. I want it to recline, or I want it to make out into a bed, or I want it to plug in and be electric. There's all my choices versus just taking what's available like some kind of scavenger. I lived as a scavenger. I don't want to live that way anymore. Okay. Now, if I'm buying nothing but the best and the most expensive all the time, unless I have a means to support that, I will be out of money and return back to a scavenger again, which scares the heck out of me. So what I'm looking for isn't the cheapest thing I can get. And what also I'm looking for is not the most expensive thing I can get. And that leads us to buying yesterday's tech, not 3 years ago's tech. When they're talking about a brand new computer purchase, buying anything 12th generation or newer is still modern and still being sold today, brand new, still in a package, unwrapped, in plenty of inventory. They haven't run out. They're not running out. They got lots of 12th gen processors and motherboards to pick from. So that's why I'm so passionate about this, is because I like, in my world, when I was scavenging with other scavengers. I wasn't hanging around people with money. And if I did, it was like, wouldn't this be nice? But my life just wasn't made for that. I just wasn't born into it, or the universe has other plans. I mean, I just learned to accept it because there was no path for me to get there that I was aware of. And so what I have eventually figured out is, if you can get something that's really, really good, brand new, that isn't the latest model with all the features, you get a much better value for your dollar. And that leads us to Kodlix. So if Kodlix is Minisforum, which it is, under a different brand name, which it is, and the purpose behind its existence, I don't know, but suspect it's to sell last year's technology, while Minisforum only sells this year's technology. I think it's a good idea. Have a value brand, and then have your main brand. So I don't know that's what Minisforum's motivation is here, but what I'm telling you is, you will see more Minisforum PCs here on this channel than any other mini PC manufacturer. That should tell you how I feel about them. Sometimes people ask me, how come you don't show XYZ Corporation? In all likelihood, it's because I don't like their corporation and I don't want to give them the free promotion. So if you're not seeing a product here, it's likely because I don't want it, and I don't recommend it, and I don't use it in my real world business, or I'm simply unaware that it exists, or it's not available in the United States and you're watching somewhere else in the world going, why doesn't he use this brand? We don't have that brand. Or on the other hand, I should say, if you are seeing certain brands pop up over and over and over, if we have a Cronus on all the time, if I'm looking at certain brands of mini PCs, certain brands of motherboards, that tells you these are my preferences, because they're not paying me. So these are parts I'm choosing to buy. So if I'm choosing to buy certain manufacturers' parts in numerous videos over time, you should be picking up the hint, he likes this, right? You shouldn't have to ask, hey, what do you think of ASRock? How many ASRock builds have you seen on this channel? Of course I like ASRock. I'm not being paid by ASRock. This is how I'm choosing to invest my money, and what I'm choosing to support as representative of my quality of my company when I sell systems to my customers who don't know what parts to pick. They're relying on me to pick good parts for them, and they're also relying on me to deliver them a good price and a reliable, fast-performing computer that's not loud. No pressure. So we already reviewed our first introduction to Kodlix was a model called the GD70. A GD, like gosh darn, GD70. Now this is the next model up, the GD90. Let's take a quick look at the Amazon page to see all the specifications and how they promote this. Let's go over here to my window capture, right over there. There we go. All right, now you'll see there's a $114 off coupon here, so that'll bring that down from $500 to $385. I want you to think about this. For $385, you're getting a case, a power supply, a sound card, a network card. You're getting a storage, NVMe storage. You're getting Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. You're getting RAM. You're getting an operating system. You're getting built-in graphics. And, you know, specifically a 12900HK processor, which is 14 cores and 20 threads. That is nothing to throw shade at. That is a really nice processor, quite respectful in power. 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM is more RAM than most computer users will ever use at any given session. Some of you will use more because, again, the audience watching YouTube videos is not representative of an average computer user, because average computer users don't watch YouTube videos on computers. So for you guys, you know how much RAM you need, or you just like to buy more to feel better, whatever. 32 gigs for your average ordinary person is more than they'll use. 512 gig solid state drive. One could argue that's a bit small, but it depends on how you use the machine. The vast majority of businesses and end users of computers I service in the real world who aren't sitting around watching YouTube videos, these folks use less than 120 gigs of storage on their computer. It doesn't matter if they've owned it a year or 5 years. So for most people, this is more than they need, especially a business. We don't want to give a business a lot of space. We want their employees to be saving files on a local storage device like a NAS or a server. We don't want them saving files on their PC that's not getting backed up at the office. And if they run out of room within 512 gigs, I'll get a phone call that something's wrong, and I can stop that before it gets worse. However, you can remove this and upgrade it to any size solid state drive. Sometimes you'll see manufacturers will post up to 2 terabytes. There's no such thing as a storage limit on NVMe drives. Let me come back here one more time. Say this one more time. Come around. There's no such thing as a storage limit on an NVMe drive. If that NVMe drive is 512 gigs or 512 terabytes, it is compatible. The only problem you can have is getting it to fit. So if a 512 terabyte SSD is this thick, it's not going in the case. But if you can make it fit, it will work. So then the question is, but Carey, it says up to 2 terabytes. That's because when they wrote the documentation, the 2 terabyte size was the maximum size available at the time of publication. And then they copy and paste that into the next model and the next. They're not rewriting the documentation for every computer. It's not how it's done. It costs too much money. You got to pay somebody for that. So then you might see maximum storage size of 4 terabytes. Or you might even see maximum RAM of 32 gigs when in fact the maximum RAM is 64. And the reason they wrote that was at the time, the biggest RAM modules that were invented were 16, and if you could hold 2 of them, you'd get 32. Or the biggest that were 32, and you could hold 2 of them, that's 64. So you can't put any more, right? That's how you get to a 64 gig limit. But then the manufacturers come out with a 64 gig chip, and with a BIOS update, with 2 of those, you can now have 128 gigs. But they don't go back and update the documentation to tell you that. Also, when you add that much RAM, you really slow your boot time down to a snail's pace. I know people think the more RAM you add, the faster it goes. Well, good luck waiting for your computer to boot if you have 128 gigs of RAM. I hope you leave it on all the time, because if you turn that on and you have to wait for that to check 128 gigs of RAM, your boot up time will be about 9 or 10 times slower by a magnification of nearly 90% slower. If you don't believe me, try it. Now, once you're in Windows, well, then you're okay. But I'm getting through that power on self-test. So sometimes people ask questions in the comments. Well, what's the maximum size NVMe drive it'll hold? Whatever is the maximum you can buy that will fit. It's really more of a fitment concern, because if an 8 terabyte NVMe drive has chips on both sides that are that thick, depending on the mini computer, it may not sit down And if that's the case, you won't be able to secure it. It's not a technical limitation. It's a physical one. It's the way it always has been since the invention of the NVMe drive. It's never changed. How many years has it been? 13 years, 10 years? And people still don't get it. And I think it's because the manufacturers put that notification that says, you know, this is your maximum RAM and maximum storage. But again, they're just writing down at the time they wrote the documentation of the maximum size invented. So how can they test a bigger drive than this if it doesn't exist? And then what makes it more complicated or more confusing is that whenever they wrote that documentation, they just keep carrying it over to the next model. So the documentation might have been written 6 years ago, and they keep copying and pasting over and over and over again. And they're not wrong. You know, it will see a 2 terabyte drive. They're not specifically telling you anything bigger won't work. They say storage up to 2 terabytes, but they don't say that 4 terabytes won't work. They're just saying, we just know up to 2 terabytes. They're not committing. They don't want any warranty calls. Anyway, it's ridiculous that this has gone on for how many years now? And people still are asking me on a regular basis, what's the maximum size NVMe it will hold? Whatever NVMe is invented is what it will hold, provided it will physically fit inside. That's it. That's all there is. Okay, it's the way it's always been. It's never changed, and it's the way it'll always be until or if I make a video updating that. But that's just the standard of NVMe. That size, as far as I can tell, we're a long way away before we have any size limitation with regards to capacity. All right, let's take a look here in the chat. Dave Stetzel says hello. There's Oystein and Jason H88. Christopher Horton says hello. And there's our friend Lou Greeny, Andy Kane, Chris Johnson, and Bill Sony T. Bajan guy says he's buffering. We've had some drop frames here, so that buffering might have been on my side. I'm not sure. Hopefully, I mean, it looks good now. I did change out the TP-Link router here that we use. We have 2 network connections here. One that I use on the tablet and Mara will connect with, and one we broadcast from. And I don't mess around with the one we broadcast from. So I've just changed out the TP-Link router because the secondary internet, the one we use on the tablet and for Mara to connect, it's been dropping twice a day, just randomly dropping. And so far as I can tell, it's the router. I believe the TP-Link router that I have is overheating. I've got an RMA request in with TP-Link, and we have another brand new model of TP-Link coming in on Friday, but I won't have time to review it because we already have a Cronus scheduled for Friday, and we're going to talk about a Cronus trimmage with our friend Begowden. And so if you have any computer backup related or Cronus related questions, be sure and join us for that show. And if you have any questions that you want me to ask on your behalf, leave them in the comments below this video, and I'll make a note of them so I can address them with Begowden. He could pretty much answer any question about a Cronus. I don't think you could throw him. There's your challenge. One other thing. Oh, so this new TP-Link router that's coming in, it almost looks like the Starship PC, the M2A from Ace Magic. And it's a $500 Wi-Fi 7 RGB router. So we've got that coming on Friday. And then I've got an older router that we used to use here at Studio B in temporary position. Once we're able to review the new TP-Link router, then I will install it here and we'll see how it performs. And if it's not any better, it'll just return it. You know, I got 30 days to return it to Amazon. If I like it, I'll keep it. In the meantime, I'm still working with TP-Link to figure out what we're going to do on the other one. This all started happening after that unit was about a year old, and I think it has a 3-year warranty. But TP-Link has been responsive. I do get a response about once every 24 hours or every 20 hours. So, all right, back to the Kodlix. So these mini PCs, we see so many of them. And because the technology and the innovation is moving so quickly, we're just trying to keep up, right? I don't want you to, think that the video from last year that I reviewed of value last year, you have to understand, if that was a value last year, they're probably completely out of stock now and they don't make them anymore. Likely. That's how fast this turnover works. So if you are thinking of buying a unit, be sure and watch the date of the video you're watching to understand if you're seeing something that's, top of the line that just came out, or if it's a value that's a current value as of, late July 2024 is a current value. So what are we talking about for value? Let's go back one more time. And let's take a look. They're talking about, again, the 12900HK processor, which goes up to 5 gigahertz. 5 gigahertz, for crying out loud. And on top of that, I'm not going to read all this to you, but triple display, simultaneous 4K on 3 displays at the same time is possible without any additional adapters or hardware. And then as we scroll down, we've got the weight dimensions. It is DDR4, of course, and it weighs less than 3 pounds. 14 cores, 20 threads, built-in into Iris Xe graphics, so not ideal for gaming. This is really ideal for everything else, unless your gaming requirements are older games, World of Warcraft, maybe League of Legends. Older stuff will run fine. Retro games, etc. Media PC, or even a PC to actually do real work on with that much processing power in RAM. This is probably faster and more capable than any computer you're using right now to watch this video. And the fact that you can pick this up under $400, plug and play, ready to go. Case, power supply, cooler, chip, motherboard, RAM, storage, operating system, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and it's brand new. See, there's no customer reviews. This just came out. So we'll likely be the first people to review it and introduce it to you. So if you wanted to order one, you're not competing with a bunch of other people grabbing onto the hype of bigger, more popular channels that primarily make commercials. And then everybody gets excited about it. They buy them out. And then 10 days later, they've moved on to the next latest and greatest thing. So if you get there early, you can relax. No pressure. And then just scroll through here. There's a little breakout of how the PC is assembled here. There is room for a 2.5-inch drive. If you want to install one, I strongly recommend you don't. It adds heat, and that storage is very slow. If you want to add faster storage, then you want to go with USB 3 point whatever, external SSD. It'll run 4 times faster, or at a minimum, it'll run exactly the same speed, but get that outside of the case where you're not adding more heat. There's no fan on this side. See, the fan's up here. There's no fan down here. So there's nothing to cool your storage and RAM. And if you just put more heat generation in there, if it were me, I would remove this option. I don't think it should be there. I'm not saying you're going to have a problem, but you could. And if you take that, if you never put a drive in there, that's a problem you'll never have. That much I can guarantee. If you do put a drive in there, maybe you'll have a problem with heat. Maybe you won't. I don't know. I don't use 2.5-inch drives anymore. They're just way too slow for me, and it would bottleneck this whole computer if you did that. Anyway, let's go back to camera 1, and let me tell you a little bit about what I've done with this. This arrived last week, earlier this week. It was a few days ago. I went ahead and I unwrapped it, powered it up, went through the out-of-box experience, updated Windows, and then put it all back in the box. All right, so I think that's all I did to it. So we're emulating an unboxing, but I've put it back, minus the little plastic bags the mini PC was in, and the power brick is in a plastic bag. I've thrown those out. So you'll notice when I open this, I try to emulate exactly how it came out. So we've got documentation, got the PC right on top, and it's in this foam base that keeps it protected in shipping. And then we've got this cardboard here with our big power brick right here. And then we've got an HDMI cable. We have a regular USA power cord, standard PC style power cord. We have the 2.5-inch drive connector. So this is optional. If you put a 2.5-inch drive in against my advisement, that's what this is for. One end goes on the drive, the other end plugs onto a connector on the motherboard. Finally, you have screws to secure a 2.5-inch drive. And then you have what's called a VESA mounting plate, and this is an optional mounting plate so that you can hang this PC on the back of your monitor, although I don't know how you get to the ports if you ever needed to get to the ports. Or you could hang it on the side of a desk, hang it on a wall. It's there to hang the computer because it's only less than 3 pounds. It's very lightweight, so you can get it off your desk if you want to. Now, this is ventilation on the side, so you don't want to put this thing vertical because you will block the air vents and you will likely have a heat-related problem. If you want to buy a vertical mini PC, make sure it's designed to be vertical. Otherwise, you'll have to get pretty creative with how you can lift that up off your desk while still keeping some ventilation. You know, you got to give it at least 1/2 inch from the surface so it can draw air in or out depending on which way the air is going on this. Your main ventilation is going to be in the back. This is where you're going to feel heat and air coming out because that's your CPU fan right up there. And you'll know because it's a metal radiator right there. So you're going to have air coming out here. Air may be drawn in on these ports, I'm not sure, but you don't want to block them and suffocate the machine, nor would you want to block it if it were exhausting air out of one side because, again, you're suffocating the machine. Let me bring this up closer and you get a good look at the ports and how this is all put together. So on the front, it's pretty plain Jane, right? There's no RGB, there's no nonsense. It gets right to business. It's all plastic. Plastic is good for Wi-Fi range. If this was a metal case, it'd certainly be more elegant, more expensive, and your Wi-Fi range would be significantly reduced. So this looks all plastic, which is good. The bottom is completely vented, but not necessarily if you stick a 2.5-inch drive under there. You're going to block the ventilation and you're going to add heat. All right, I've driven that point home, haven't I? But you can. Should you? You can. Doesn't mean you should. All right, then we've got these points here, these little mount points for the VESA mount. There is a little arrow here that points to the front when you take this bottom off. I'm guessing you got to take these rubber feet off, and then underneath will be a screw in each corner, and then you'll stick something under that tab. Trying to see little slot right there. Put something under there and lift the back up. And then that gets you into the RAM storage and Wi-Fi card. That's how you upgrade it. There's no reason to get to this side of it. There's nothing user serviceable on this side. If you needed to dust it out, you just grab your duster and go through all the vents on each side and on the back. And that's all you do. You don't open it up. That's ridiculous. Now, the reason I mention that is they're very easy to damage. If you want to do that, again, against my advisement, it's yours to do with whatever you want. Now, in the back, we've got two what look like USB 2s, a display port, a 2.5 gig LAN port, an HDMI port, a USB Type-C port that supports display out and power delivery. See the PD right there? That means power delivery. And then we've got a standard 19-volt laptop-style, barrel-style power connector here. This right up here is a Kensington lock if you wanted to put a steel cable on this and then lock it down to some heavy piece of furniture so nobody could walk off with it. A lot of offices might consider that, where, especially if it's within public reach, a customer could come in and take that when your employee's not looking. So that steel cable would have to be cut with a pretty significant chain cutting tool. So they're pretty effective at preventing theft. Home users probably don't need to worry about that at all. When it comes to the power supply, it's kind of a standard laptop style power supply in size and weight. It's a little hefty. Now, the power supplies are not made by the mini PC manufacturers, and so they don't typically have the name of the mini PC manufacturer on the power brick. But because these power bricks are so common and this little round connector is so common, if you get these confused and you plug this into like a 5-volt device, you will blow that device up. You will literally create a bunch of smoke, and if you don't unplug it quickly, fire. So that device is done. It's really important you keep the power bricks together with whatever they're supposed to power. This is not USB. This isn't if it plugs in, it's the right thing. No. And I'm sorry that We're still doing this in 2024, but this barrel connector can have any voltage of any polarity in any wattage. And as a result, just because it fits does not make it the right one, and you are risking completely smoking. I mean, just totally ruining whatever device you plug into it that it wasn't designed to run. So on the back, this does give you the details if you needed to buy a spare one. You would look for this information, the input and specifically the output here, which shows it's 19 volts and 90 watts total, okay? Anything above 90 watts will be fine. The only concern really is we don't want to send too much voltage to it, and we've got to make sure that we get the right barrel connector. There are different sizes of barrel connectors, some that are wider, some that are skinnier, some that are longer, some that are shorter. But this is the most common kind, and they don't always have the same voltages. In fact, very rarely do they, unless we're comparing laptops and mini PCs. Many of those can be interchanged. Some of them can't be. So what I like to do is get a marker or a label maker and write Kodlix on this. So I know if these two things ever get separated, I know where this goes. Now, my writing is terrible, and a silver indelible Sharpie is all you need. You can write it as big or as small as you need it. Or get yourself a nice label maker. If you don't already have one, put a nice label on it. It's going to sit on the floor, no one's going to see it. But if you refuse to label it, and these two items get thrown in a box during a move, and as you're unboxing, you've got 4 or 5 of these, how do you know which one goes without doing the research? If you just plug it in to try it, you risk blowing it up. So it's on you. I really do wish manufacturers would put their names on their power adapters. Sometimes you'll see it, but most of the time you don't. So I take care of that myself. I have a lot of mini PCs here. So that means I have a lot of power adapters to confuse. And I don't want to smoke any of them, quite frankly. Just not in my purview. I don't want to do that. All for just taking 30 seconds with a marker. I can avoid that dangerous catastrophe. All right. Hopefully we're clear. We clear? Hello, Captain Blinsky joining us. And let me switch over here. Here we go. Peter VZ with a €1 super chat contribution. Thank you, Peter. Jose Lopez with a $1 super chat contribution. Thank you, Jose. Right on. Luke Greenia says, Begowden's an awesome guy. I love it when he's on. Yeah, he will be with us tomorrow, Friday at 1 p.m. live. And we will be taking your questions and talking about the renaming of Acronis Cyber Protect Home back to Acronis True Image. Why they did it, and what else that means. What other changes since the last time we talked have they added to Acronis with their free updates? We'll find out. Peter says that's a great price for this mini PC. Oh, just wait till I turn it on. Wayne Ellison says, Texas Trouble says hello. Welcome in, Wayne. Thanks for becoming a supporter. Dwayne Blackwelder says, just wanted to jump in and say hi. I can't stay, but I'll watch later. Well, thanks, Dwayne. Thanks for stopping in and saying hello. I appreciate that. Peter says 19 volts is somewhat standard with laptops. It is, but not the wattage. So we've seen some of these adapters that are 300 watts. So if this is 90 watts, it's probably not going to hurt it, but it's not going to turn on. If it does turn on, it ain't going to work right. Because as soon as you need more than 90 watts, the whole thing will die. You could damage the adapter. If you go the other way, where you're plugging in too many volts into a lower voltage, say it's a 5-volt device and it's a 19-volt adapter, you could set that other device on fire. Very possible. So anyway, just a Sharpie marker or label maker in 20 seconds of your time, and that's a scenario that will never exist. Otherwise, enjoy rolling your dice. You know, that'll never happen. Yeah, because everybody who's ever done it did it on purpose. All right, let's get it hooked up and let's see how it boots and what it looks like, what version of Windows we've got. I did not have to run the bypass NRO on this, which I appreciate. Now, sometimes that's because they're still using Windows 11 22H2 instead of 23H2. There was a lot of talk about Windows 24H2. However, you'll notice, so on the internet here, that's all people would talk about for about 3 weeks. 24H2, Windows recall, and all this other stuff. And what do you think of that, Carey? And everybody's freaking out. It's all they can talk about. It's a product that isn't out, has never come out yet for the public release. And people have all this anxiety and they're freaking out and they're like protesting and cancel culture before the product's even released. Then Microsoft said that we're going to pull recall, and the European Union is suing them over it. So they said, okay, that's not going to happen. And bottom line is, it's 24H2 still isn't out and likely will not be out until October, November. That would be my guess. But they were talking about it like it was coming out tomorrow. You know, it's crazy. Instead of worrying about or asking about what's now and in reality, they're asking about conjecture, hyperbole, and imagination. And it's frustrating for me, because how do you answer somebody's imaginary friend or imaginary problem that doesn't actually exist, that they don't have and they're not suffering from? What they're suffering from is up in here. It's not out here. I don't know how to answer these questions because it's all conjecture. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm accustomed to people calling me and hiring me to fix a problem. I'm not accustomed to people calling me and asking me a bunch of hypothetical questions. It's just that people don't pay me for that. I mean, if I could get paid to do it, I would. The thing about hypothetical questions is none of your answers matter. Your answers are just more conjecture piled on. Well, could be this, could be that. Pick one. We'll see. You can't be wrong at that point in time. All you can do is guess. And maybe you'll be lucky with your guess. I like to be accurate. I like to be as precise as I can be. So when people ask me hypothetical questions, my answer is typically, think about this. What if there were no hypothetical questions? And that's what we call a paradox. Now, a paradox are not two surgeons. That's a pair of docs. Never mind. Nor is it a manufacturer of black shoe. That would be a pair of docs. Never mind. All right. It's dad jokes. Let's get this thing fired up here. As you can see, there's not a whole lot to look at. This is really intended to be discreet and sort of like a sleeper, if you will, right? Something that nobody's going to look at and go, wow, I bet that's amazing. Wow, I want to steal that. No, it's not glitzy and flashy saying, look at me, look at me, look at me. I'm Mr. Meeseeks. It's just a little black box sitting quietly, outperforming everybody else without boasting, without bragging, without being loud about it. They're just humble, noble, high performance, high reliability, low price, low footprint. This isn't about impressing your friends with the steel cover or the RGB. This is about impressing your friends with how it performs and how reliable it is and how quiet it is and how small it is and how inexpensive it is. That is what this is about. Okay, so let's go to our HDMI input, and I will put myself in the corner here and we'll turn this on. We'll take a look at the boot time. I don't know if I ran any tests on this, but you know, Minis Forum has never had any issue with malware on their systems. We certainly can scan it, but they've never had it ever in the history of the company. But that's what every company has. I mean, it has to be a first time, right? But I don't suspect there's any malware. So it was a nice, clean, traditional, unaltered Windows 11 install. Let's go to the power button, which I can feel right there. Here we go. You see the blue light came on? Let's see what our boot time is. Everything's live, unscripted, and unrehearsed. I have no idea what's going to happen. I did previously turn this on and update it, so I do know that it boots. At least it did the last time I turned it on. There's our BIOS power on self-test, POST. We call it post. And then I just set the user account up to the name user. I set that up. And then we're at the desktop where it looks like I've copied over a number of utilities. And let me just take a quick look because I can't really see it too well. Got a screenshot of some results of something. I don't know what it is. So I did run a test of something on this. Oh, okay. I did run Malwarebytes on it. And you can see that full virus scan. By the way, if you ever watch any YouTube channels where they're reviewing a computer and they say, oh, I scanned it, for malware and it came up clean, look at the scan time. Because if they just did a quick scan, that'll be like 2 minutes. You have to manually set your scan to a custom scan in order to scan the entire drive. And you'll see that took over 2 hours and there were over 500,000 files. That's not what happens on a quick scan. But my scans are thorough, they're proper. This is how we do it in professional life when people are paying you to scan their computers. They don't want a quick scan. They want some self-confidence and reassurance that that's going to be okay, that it's clean. So that takes a while. So I got that done. And you can see all zeros follow. Nothing was found, just like every other Minis Forum PC we've ever worked with and the previous Kodlix that we've worked with, all right? We'll right-click on the Start menu and jump over here to System, and then we'll verify that we've got that processor, yeah. 32 gigs of RAM, yeah. Windows 11 Pro 22H2, is that what that says? So we are a year behind. Well, that explains why the option was there for me to not have a network requirement to create a Microsoft account. That didn't happen until 23H2. So we are shipping with an out-of-date Windows 11 Pro. Now that update, you're going to get that automatically through Windows updates. If you want to manually do it, there are a couple ways you can force it on there. And update here, check for updates. It might offer it to us now. I don't know. It seems, what does this say? No internet. Oh, when I changed the router out, when I changed out the router earlier today, I don't think I hooked up the other end of this cable. So again, this is all live and unscripted, and this is the only chance I've had to test that. And so when I pulled the router out, I thought I plugged all the cables back in, and then I thought I was missing one, and then I got distracted with something. Story of my life. And then I think I realize now which one I'm missing. That's the good news. The bad news is I don't know where the other end of it is. I think that's why it didn't get plugged in. It's back here somewhere. Oh, I think it's on the floor under the shelving unit. Yeah, it is. Let's see. Okay. Well, that's embarrassing. But hey, real world. This is how it works, man. Let's see here. Will it even reach? We'll go right here. Okay. Now it's plugged into the router. And then we should see the little icon on the bottom right that looks like a globe turn into like a little monitor when it gets assigned an IP address through our router, which I believe just happened. So now let me go back full screen. First of all, let me turn camera 1 off because there's no reason for me to block the screen. Let's go full screen. For me, you're already full screen. And then I'm going to hit retry up here. So yeah, we've got that little screen down here that was a globe. And that becomes what looks like a little monitor when you've got a wired connection and it's been assigned the IP address, or at least has initialized with your router. So while we're waiting on that, let's take a look in the device manager, kind of look at what the networking hardware is made up of. Now, one of the advantages of buying a machine with Windows already installed on it is all the drivers are already in for you. It's ready to plug and play. Basically, you just need some Windows updates depending on how old the operating system is that they're cloning over to it, because they're doing this in bulk production, and then how long it sat on the shelf before it arrived at your door. See what I'm saying? So we do have some results here. And yes, it is installing all by itself Windows 11 23H2. That's a good thing. And while it does that, see, I thought I did all these updates off camera, but apparently at the time it said there were no more updates. So sometimes it delays giving you the 23H2 by a few hours or a day after you've bought a brand new machine. And you can also force it using the Windows 11 installation media, or Windows 11 Upgrade Assistant is what it's called. And you would just Google that and take it from Microsoft. Don't get it from anybody but Microsoft. Looking down at the list here for network adapters, we have an Intel LAN connection. So we have a 2.5 gig LAN. That's what I'm plugged into. And MediaTek makes the Wi-Fi, which is 6E. I don't think most people would have any advantage to Wi-Fi 6E, or likely have much hardware in your home that would connect to 6E, maybe a modern cell phone. That's about it for most people. You would need a PC that has 6E, and that PC would have to run Windows 11 for 6E to work. And it would have to be really important for you to transfer large files over your wireless network to see the difference that 6E is going to offer you. So if you don't meet these requirements, having 6E is sort of like, having an appetizer or some food on your plate that you're not going to eat. It's there and it's edible, and some people like it. But for you, it's just a waste. It's just taking up space on the plate. You're not going to eat it. So Wi-Fi 6E and Wi-Fi 7, essentially, for Wi-Fi 6E and Wi-Fi 7, you're using the 6 gigahertz band. And that is illegal in some countries. So Windows 10 doesn't have a way to identify your location the way that Windows 11 does. This is my understanding of it. I didn't invent it, okay? But this is my understanding. You can Wikipedia why Wi-Fi 7 isn't available in all places, and why it doesn't, or 6E even, why it doesn't work on Windows 10. This is Windows 11 or a modern smartphone. And again, I don't know what benefit you'd have on a smartphone unless somehow you are transferring massive amounts of data over your Wi-Fi from your cell phone to another computer on your network, or a storage device on your network. And then maybe if you're within a close range of the router, because again, the higher the number goes, if we go from Wi-Fi, let's say the 2.4 gigahertz range, the 5 gigahertz range is less crowded and can move data faster. But the range that you get is about half, or significantly reduced from 2.4, which is slower but has better range. You go to 6 gigahertz, your range is even shorter, but your performance is higher because, again, you're on a channel that very few people are on or using, so it's pretty much going to be all yours without any interference or congestion. But in order for that to work, everything that's communicating needs to be, if you want to move a big file on Wi-Fi 7, that implies you're moving it wirelessly. So if you're moving the file from your laptop, and your laptop is equipped with Windows 11 and Windows 7, you have a modern $500 router. I suppose they're cheaper than that, but a Wi-Fi 7 router is pretty expensive. Then your laptop and your router can talk at those Wi-Fi 7 speeds if you're within the range of Wi-Fi 7, that 6 gigahertz band. If you're too far away, it will significantly decrease your speed, making the 5 gigahertz actually faster in that scenario. But let's say best case scenario, you've got Wi-Fi 7 on the laptop, Wi-Fi 7 on the router. Now, what are you connecting to? Where are you transferring the file? If you're transferring the file to another Wi-Fi device, or if you're transferring the file to a NAS, a network attached storage device, or you're transferring a file wirelessly from your laptop to another computer that's wired on your network, it will only go as fast as the slowest thing you're connecting to. So if the laptop's not Wi-Fi 7, but the router is, does you no good. Vice versa, does you no good. If what you're communicating to is slower than what you're communicating from, then it will run at the slower on both sides, and vice versa. For you to see the benefit of Wi-Fi 7, you need basically everything on Wi-Fi 7 that you're communicating to, or you need very, very fast responsive hardwired devices so that you want to transfer, say, some big files off your laptop wirelessly from the other room, and you're doing that often enough to justify the cost of that Wi-Fi 7 and the cost of that router, and you're within close enough range of the router that works for you. That's why 6E and 7 are just not, they're not that important or noticeable to most end users. It's not going to make your internet any faster. So MediaTek is the name of the manufacturer of the Wi-Fi card. And here's the thing. If you want to put Linux on this or some other operating system, you'll need to make sure you have drivers for everything. And sometimes some of these drivers can be difficult, if not impossible, to find. But you can always open this computer up and switch the Wi-Fi card out very easily. And I'll show you how to do that, because I can tell from looking at the back with all the holes, this is going to be simple. Very easy access to this if you want to upgrade it. All right, so while this installs, let me go back over to camera 1 and we'll take a look in the chat room and see what you guys are talking about, because I've not been paying attention. Warren Smith with £1.99. Thank you, Warren. Peter VZ says, that's why I still use my old flash drives, USB sticks with H21, and then you actually don't get that. Oh, so you manually install your big 23H2, 23H1 update. Yeah, if you're doing a lot of machines. If you just have one computer like most people, that's just a big waste of time. It's faster, just let it do it on its own. But I get what you're saying, for sure. Peter Lightcock says hello to Jack Kugomas. Says welcome to the membership. Well, Buster, I'll tell you what. He's darn near a co-host at this point. I got to figure out a way to get him over here or get me over to Scotland. One or the other. He's doing half the work. Let's put him on camera and get him to do the other half. He's a great community leader here, and a benefactor to this channel, the likes of which I just can't even. This would be a very different channel without our friend Buster. Or Peter Laycock, as he's known in the chat room. Colin Hunt has contributed £2. Right on. Thank you, Colin. Christopher Horton said, Carey convinced me. I removed my SATA from the bottom of my B-Link and bought a bigger M.2 drive. Got an adapter for the SATA, same speeds. That's what I'm saying. It's exactly what I'm saying. In fact, the little adapters that Amazon sells, these guys, there's a variety of these to pick from. They start at about $8 or $9. This end plugs into your 2.5-inch drive and this end into your USB. You don't have to buy an enclosure for it. And you're going to get air cooled, and you can switch the drive out if you're, obviously those drives are typically old, laying around, and you're trying to just reuse it because it came from something else that you retired, and you're like, hey, I can use this drive for storage. That's all well and good, but it's probably not going to have much capacity. But at least this way, you can just unplug this from USB, then unplug your drive, put a different drive on it, plug this back in. Don't do it while it's plugged in, is what I'm saying. And then you can just endlessly keep changing drives as though this were a drive dock. A drive dock. You know those drive toasters that take up desk space? They make those for 2.5-inch drives. You can use that too. But this is way cheaper. And it's under $10. I mean, they start at under $10 here on Amazon in the USA. There's no driver to download. There's no configuration. And it will run at the same speeds. Yes. And keep the heat out of your mini PC. as well as you're slowing your mini PC down having it connected, because it's always checking the drive. It's always polling it about every 30 seconds. It's polling it. Are you there? Yes, I am. Are you there? Yes, I am. Are you there? All this takes resources. It slows the machine down. So get it out, plug it into USB. All right. That's the reasoning. It's not personal. I sat to drive once killed my father, prepared to die. Let's see here. This is not updating. Try it now. Christopher Horton says, that's what I got. Exactly that cable. It was $12. There you go. Probably arrived in 2 days, right? Anyway, Christopher Horton says, you're absolutely correct, and thanks for that advice. Hey, listen, don't believe anything you see or hear on the internet until you've checked it out and have your own personal experience. So Christopher Horton has had his personal experience, and it aligns with exactly what I said. Ultimately, at the end of the day, what I say doesn't matter. What matters is your reality. And if you have a different experience than what I'm explaining, please share it with us in the chat room. I don't want to hear about somebody else's experience that you heard about online, because there's a lot of conjecture and a lot of nonsense. But if it's you personally had an experience and you'd like to share it with us, we'd love to hear from real people who had real experiences, not from, oh my gosh, what's going to happen with 24H2, which isn't, or 24H3, what's it called? It's not out yet. There's no point in discussing it. What about the end of Windows 10? What are you going to do? That's still a year and a half away. We don't need to worry about that. Let's talk about that this time next year. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about problems you personally are experiencing that you would like help with, or that you have personally resolved yourself, and what the problem was and how you resolved it. I'm trying to keep this channel away from all of the internet nonsense and conjecture. I keep using the word conjecture. It's a lot of conjecture. I want to hear about you, your experiences. Good or bad doesn't matter as long as they're yours. We'd love for you to share them as it's related to technology. If you have any of these mini PCs in any manufacturer and you had a good experience or a bad experience, tell us. What's the make? What's the model? What did you like? What did you not like? Would you recommend it? Because I can do these reviews all day, but I'm not living with this every day. So I don't know, just as any reviewer of any product, unless you live with it every day, the review you have is just, based on a few minutes of time and whether or not it worked out well, based on my values. It doesn't tell me what it's going to be like to live with. So we've sent many, many PCs out to our channel supporters, and we've just simply asked them, live with it, and from time to time, give us an update if there's anything going on with it, if it's loud, if it's unreliable, if it's difficult to upgrade, if it's awesome, if you hate it, because you're the real users that are investing your hard-earned money in this stuff. And I would love to hear if my review aligns with the actual experience or not. And if it doesn't, then I take that from a trusted source, not just internet conjecture, but from the person that I sent the machine from, sharing a real experience they had. It gives me something to consider when moving forward with that brand. Now, if I've got 6 or 7 of those brands models out there, being used, and one person has an issue with one model, that's still good to know. But if 7 people have a problem with the 7 models, even if the problems are completely unrelated, it's unacceptable. And how else am I going to know if you don't tell me? So they don't do me any good sitting on a shelf over here. But they're also a lot cheaper for you guys to buy directly if you live in another country than for me to try and ship one to you in a different country. Not to mention the power cable being different. But yeah, the cost of shipping, and then you'd have to pay import fees. You might as well just order one locally. You'll save money and have a return, the ability to return it, if you order it from Amazon or a reputable online site. And then again, regardless of what make and what model, still love to hear any experience you've personally had with a mini PC, for better or for worse. And then to continue to update me, unless you said, that's it, I'm not using them anymore. Then of course there's no more update unless you decide to go back again and try another one. On the other hand, if you've been using a mini PC for a while and you'll never go back to a desktop, I want to hear that too. So how many of you out there in the chat right now have a mini PC? And do you like it? Is it something you would recommend? Overall, if you had to tell somebody who's never used one and is skeptical, it's too small, it can't be very good, what would you say to them? Let me grab a cold Gatorade while I give you guys time to respond. And while the computer continues to update to Windows 11 23H2. Yeah, so it'll be 24H2, right? That'll be the next one. Let's see, back over to this screen here. I think at Studio C, I'm going to have to set it up with 2 monitors because every time I go to the chat room, I can't see what I'm broadcasting. And then every time I go to what I'm broadcasting, I can't see the chat room unless I squeeze down what I'm broadcasting to a small window. And then if I need to see like a desktop or read anything, the window's only taking up maybe 3/4 of my screen with the last quarter of the chat room. And as soon as I click on the chat room to respond, then the OBS window goes behind it. Now I can float the chat room with OBS and just close out my YouTube Studio, but then I lose all the controls for YouTube Studio. So I really need, I think, 2 monitors. So hopefully, if I don't figure that out at Studio C right away, I hope that that is something I get resolved once we get settled in. We're still moving equipment over there. There's a lot of equipment. You might notice my videos getting a little darker in the next coming weeks. I think of the 4 studio lights, I can move 2 of them, and it shouldn't make too big of a lighting difference here at Studio B. And then I'll have the other 2 over at Studio C, spare camera and tripod over at Studio C, so I can start, experimenting with broadcasting there, where the lights are going to go, where they're going to be positioned, where I'm going to stand, where the desk is going to go. I may not even use this desk. This desk was bought during the pandemic, and there just wasn't much available. Just the closest thing I could find. It's way too fancy for a workbench. This is like a French-style kitchen island, and it was 3 times the budget I wanted to spend. So I'm thinking, moving into Studio C, maybe I can get a proper workbench in there. We'll see. That hasn't been decided yet, because again, where's it got to go compared to where the lights have to go, where the cameras have to go. We have to figure all that out. I have it pictured in my head, but it's not to scale, so it might work. I don't know. All right, let's just check for updates one more time here. So it had a problem with installing 23H2 for some reason. So it should try it again. That could be normal. Am I not getting... Looks like it disconnected me from the internet. Let me unplug my Ethernet cable and plug it back in. That's pretty strange. And I'm just waiting for that little globe down there to become that little screen that tells me that I've received an IP address from the router. I'm waiting for that to occur. I don't understand why it's not happening. Let's make sure there's nothing wrong with our driver or our wired LAN connection. Everything looks happy in here. That's good. So when this happens, a lot of times the secret is to simply unplug the cable and then just plug it right back in again. Now there is some heat coming out of the back of this through those metal vents I showed you, and that's normal. It's not loud, but you can definitely hear a fan is running there very quietly. As I plug this cable back in, the router should then say something new is connecting to it, and then talk to it, negotiate, and then give it an IP address and a connection speed. So since that router's only a 1 gig router. The TP-Link router was a 2.5 gig, and with this being 2.5 gig, this is also a 2.5 gig compliant cable. but it doesn't make my internet any faster. That's just for transferring files where that's faster. So right now, the older router is 1 gig only. So this should have connected and negotiated at 1 gig, and it's not doing it at all. Like, we're getting nowhere here, which I don't understand. So when push comes to shove, we just restart it. And I don't know if it's a router issue, a cable issue, something related to those updates we just got. That's why I try not to do too much on a brand new machine. Do one thing at a time, reboot, make sure everything works. Because by the time you reboot after you've made a bunch of changes, you may not know what the cause of the problem is. So if you do, one or maybe 2 changes and reboot, and then you have a problem, you know it's the last 1 or 2 things you did that's likely the cause or culprit of it. So I'll tell you what appears to have happened is it looks like the cable modem went offline. That's what it looks like to me. The router. So this is what I thought was my TP-Link. We're diagnosing this live during the show. I thought my TP-Link was dropping the connection, but it looks like with this other router, we're having the same outage that we suffered before. My other connection is fine, as you can clearly see. But that means it's got to be my cable modem that's going out. Something to do with the cable modem. So you can see it is now connected. But what I noticed when I looked over here is I have another box connected directly to the router. And that box was blinking a blue light. Normally that blue light is solid. So that told me everything went down, except the main connection over here. This is a different connection. Okay. All right, so it's not the router. The TP-Link router is not to blame. Still testing that new TP-Link router. You could imagine diagnosing this for a customer is such a pain in the butt because it's random. It just randomly resets itself. And I don't know what's doing it. I didn't know if it's the router. I didn't know if it's the modem. By switching out the router, I now know with the same exact symptoms occurring randomly, there's only one piece left. It's the cable modem itself. Let's go back to Windows updates here and see if we can get that. That's probably why the 23H2 update failed. It was likely downloading the 23H2 update. And then my router, or my modem rather, lost connection. And that means it couldn't grab the rest of this update and then therefore failed. Or it was trying to install the update and it wanted to verify some information online as it installed, since it was offline. So if I would have looked down in this right corner, I probably would have seen I was disconnected. And that means everything's disconnected. Everything on the Wi-Fi, everything on the LAN. When that cable modem goes out, everything goes out that's connected to the router. So that's why I saw the blue light blinking. That's to like the doorbell. And it's wireless. And if there's no connection to the internet, it no worky. So that sits prominently with a blue light that's always just steady. And yes, I could walk over there and look at the status of the lights, but the lights are super tiny and those little icons, and I don't necessarily know what all the icons mean. Every router does it different, and every cable modem does it different. Are these the lights that are supposed to be on the cable modem? I don't know. A good idea is to take a picture of your cable modem's lights when it's working. And then the next time your internet goes out, go take a look at your cable modem lights and see if they match the photo you took. And if any are missing, it's nothing you can do to fix it but call your cable company. That's how you can save a lot of time just trying to diagnose a problem that you aren't having. Your cable company's having it, or your internet service provider. And it's working it through. Like, is this a problem I'm having, or is this a problem they're having? And those lights more or less give it away. So right here, the lights on the cable modem tell you its status. Some cable modems only have one light on them. So, but if you have multiple lights and everything's working great, go take a picture of it right now. So when things aren't working great, if you notice those lights are mostly, say you had 5 lit up lights before, now you only have 1 or 2, you probably need to call your cable company, not try and fix anything in your house that doesn't need to be fixed. You know, you as a technician, you've got to know what's the source of my problem before we start investing any time on any particular device to fix it. So you could be sitting there running network reset tools and everything on your PC. When you have a cable modem that's down, you're just wasting your time, and you might be damaging the configuration of the computer, so that when the cable modem goes back up again, now your computer won't get online anymore because you screwed it up. So, you know, just make sure. All I'm saying is make sure you understand where the source of the problem is before you go changing anything. At the very least, you can unplug and plug things in. That's fine. There's no harm in that. But if you're going to get into the registry or change drivers or make any configuration modifications, make sure you're not creating a whole new problem to a device that's reacting as a symptom and not the cause. All right, let's see if this will refresh now, because the tablet lost its connection as well. And you know what? Good timing, because that wants to restart. And looks like it's installing properly this time. Let's go back to, let's see, live chat. There we go. All right. I know I'm talking a million miles an hour today. I might have had a little too much caffeine this morning. I've got so much I want to say, and I'm trying to cram it into a 2-hour show. It's like an 8-hour classroom that I'm trying to put into a 2-hour classroom. So I apologize if I'm speaking too quickly to understand, because that defeats the point of trying to teach. You've got to be able to understand me. I'll try and be more self-aware and slow down, but I have so much more to get through. Let's see how it goes. I can't make any promises. Let's go to Windows Update one more time. We should be all updated now. And we are connected. Again, down here, we're connected. We'll hit the Windows Update button, and then we'll hit retry here. And while it's doing that, let's right-click the Start menu, go to System, and see what version of Windows we have. It tells us here we're on version 23H2, so that is a successful update, and it likely failed because it lost the internet. That's what I think happened there. It's no problem with the computer. Computer didn't do anything wrong. You can't go, oh, it's Kodlix. No, it isn't. That was on me. That's my internet service here. That should all go away at Studio C. In the meantime, I don't know what I'll do about it. I don't have any. The internet that's here is pretty much take it or leave it. That's what I've been told. So I can't change that cable modem out. Not mine. All right, we're getting one more update here. This is a big one. Sorry, I just found a little piece of thermal material on my workbench, and I just wanted to throw it away because I didn't want to knock it on the floor. All right. Let's see back over at the chat here. Oh, let me check the phone since we're waiting. It's really weird when I get messages on Facebook from people I don't know and don't seem to think that I don't have anything else better to do but hang out on Facebook all day. So surprised most of that went away, but every once in a while I still get people reaching out for no reason whatsoever that I've never talked to them before. And they're not asking any questions, and they're not providing anything useful. So anyway, I end up unfriending those people so they can't do that anymore. Let's see. Looks like we're up to date. I'm signed up for something called Slick Deals, and Slick Deals sends me these alerts. I get multiple alerts a day for items in categories I've selected that I'm interested in when they're on sale. So laptops, computer monitors, computers, cases, any computer hardware, any alerts about Costco, because I'm a Costco member. So to have whatever the latest specials are that Costco's offering, and all that information comes to me. I don't have to go and seek it out. But then most of it is, how many laptops am I going to buy? So every time there's a sale on a laptop, I might get 8 of those a day, and I just delete. But I still want to get those updates because you never know. There might be some special I catch where it's a heck of a deal usually it's for a very limited time. And I found some great deals that way. But I do get a bunch of messages from Slick Deals every day. But it's not spam. I asked for it. I signed up for it. You sign up for something and you don't want to get the messages, unsubscribe. It's pretty easy. All right. It's a free service. What is it called? Slickdeals.net, I think is the name of it. Martin Hogg with £4.99 says, thanks again for the show, Carey. He says, it looks like it's members only. Sorry, I didn't know. No, it's not members only, Martin. It is, you have to be a member to interact with me during a live show. The problem with the live free show with interaction is it invites a lot of disruption and disrespect and lack of courtesy from viewers who have nothing else better to do than to try and interrupt and draw attention to themselves. I don't know what they get from it, but somehow this brings them some sort of dopamine release. So by making other people miserable and unhappy, makes them happy. And I guess they're okay with making other people miserable so long as it's a very selfish thing. Instead of feeling good because they made somebody else feel good, like, hey, you're a cool person and I like you, you would get the same dopamine release when they say, thank you, I like you too. But instead they go, hey, you're all a bunch of losers, or pay attention to me. They get the same dopamine release, but at the expense of essentially taking it from you like a vampire. So what I recommend is, first of all, we can turn the live chat off entirely, or we restrict the live chat to those who support the channel, because the only people that create a problem in live chat are free viewers. And generally, the only complainers about my content are people that have never sacrificed anything to watch it. In other words, they've never supported us financially. And it's really interesting, the psychology that the people who are helping cover the cost of these videos, they don't complain. They say thank you. They contribute and they say thank you. And the people who cause trouble and the people who feel entitled to free content, they're the ones who, and I'm not saying you're complaining, don't misunderstand, but what we've done is we've said, okay, as a benefit to membership and to resolve this problem, we're going to only allow interaction with me during live public videos from trusted paid members as a benefit to their membership. And for people watching for free, you can still watch for free. You're still watching a live video. You just cannot interrupt me or interact with me as a free viewer, because the people who cause the problems are in the free viewer category. So if you're in the free viewer category, it's not your fault this is happening, but you've decided to be in that category, which includes the people that cause trouble. And I'm sorry that there's collateral damage to you, but, and in fact, most people in the free category are fine. It's a very small percentage, but it's enough to be annoying, and it disrupts the flow of the show. For that reason, in order to keep us on track and to make sure that there is courtesy and respect in the chat room, it is now strictly a members only benefit to interact with me while I'm live. And all the other people in the free category can continue to watch for free as they always have. So really, it's not members only at all. The only time we do a members only video is on Mondays. So hope that clears up any confusion. And if we don't get more members, the videos, they earn half of what they cost me to make. So if I spend $1,000 making a video, I'll earn back maybe 500, maybe. So as you can see, the more videos that I make, the more I'm spending. And so when I'm spending that money for people to watch for free and then they complain, Imagine how that makes me feel, that I just sacrificed all that time and money so they can watch a video for free, and what they're getting isn't good enough. Like I owe them something. So it's quite personal to me and disrespectful. Anyway, long story, but that's where we're at with the channel in order to keep us surviving. Without the members, we wouldn't be surviving. And those people that are complaining on the free side would have nothing to complain about. The videos would simply not appear anymore. Be no content to watch. Christopher Horton said it costs nothing to be nice on the internet. I don't get the trolls either. It's not only just trolls, it's people that feel entitled. You know, they want to tell me how to make my videos, or they don't agree that the chat room is members only. But too bad. Because the option is I just don't make videos at all. So you can continue to enjoy the content for free. I don't have a problem with that. But I would think you'd be grateful for it. You don't have to be. I just think somebody made all this time and money, sacrificed it, and then you're getting a benefit from it, but you're not giving anything back but just critical advice. Like, hey, you know what? Don't like it, don't watch it. Go make your own channel. You invest in it, you finance it, and let me watch it and tell you how you should do it, while giving you nothing. This is a problem. But our members are fantastic, and we need a way to separate out the people who support the channel from the people who don't, because I want to do more in return for the people who do more for me. How do I separate those two groups? How do I know? Well, this is one way to know. And this is one way to ensure that the people who support this channel have my ear at all times, because without them, there'd be no channel. And for the free viewers, I hope they appreciate the sacrifice that we all make so they can continue to watch free content and then say it's not good enough. That's the internet, unfortunately. And we're just trying to push through it all. They're all in our way. They're all obstacles. They're not useful. They're not helpful. They're just in the way. We don't owe them anything. We've never done anything to them, but they feel some entitlement to tell us how to do this without offering any support financially. I don't want to talk to them. So, but I do want to talk to my members. I want to talk to my supporters. And as I mentioned, there are people in the free category, most people in the free category, who aren't a problem, but unfortunately are also not supporting the channel. So you're welcome to leave comments, but the live interaction is a member's benefit now because of all of these challenges I face. I want to keep doing this, and I want to keep making videos. I don't want to charge for the videos. It's not why I got into this. I got into this to educate people. I didn't know YouTube was going to take a U-turn on the monetization. I couldn't predict what was happening. And you're going to see a lot of YouTube channels going away this year. A lot have already gone away. You just can't afford to do it. If it costs you twice as much to make a video than you earn back, show me your channel. I want to see how you do it, because that just seems like a one-way ticket to bankruptcy. So again, that membership is absolutely critical, and I deeply appreciate our members, and I would hope anybody watching for free who's never contributed deeply appreciates the free content, because this is what it's all about: gratitude and support. Hector says, thank you, Carey, for being real. That's why I'm supporting your technical expertise. Where else can I find such a great teaching experience? Hey, I appreciate that very much. You know, hopefully the respect and consideration and courtesy is reciprocated. We don't always get that from free viewers. Usually we do, but unfortunately there's no way to separate those free viewers, the good ones from the bad ones. They have to separate themselves by becoming a contributor, finding another way that they can support us. Otherwise, if they stay with that gang, I can't tell the gang members apart from the non-gang members. The gang members are in that group. And if you're a part of that group, that's, you know, what am I missing? How do I isolate you? Well, you have to isolate yourself. I can't isolate you. All right. Anyway, that's my challenge, as to keep this channel alive and going under the circumstances that we're under. It is because of the members. And I hope the free viewers appreciate the free content without any complaints, or they can just not watch it. I'm good with that too. It's costing me money for them to watch my videos and then complain about it. But they give me nothing in return but grief. It's preposterous. It is the dumbest thing ever. So yeah, I'm not going to tolerate it. Here we go. I should say I'm not going to tolerate it anymore, because now the channel's life is at stake, right? Now we're talking about, do I go back to fixing computers for clients during the day, or do I spend my day making videos? At the end of the month, all the bills are due. So it is what it is. Just trying to find creative ways to resolve this problem, while also returning the gratitude to the people who are so thoughtful and courteous as to support us, which is you guys, all the members. I don't know any other way I can emphasize how critical you guys are to the future of this channel. The free viewers, totally, I'm sorry, but they're, with the YouTube ad revenue the way it is, they're not worth anything anymore. They don't bring any value. They're not doing me a favor watching my videos. They're costing me money. So that's what's happened. And, you know, if I could go to work for YouTube and have some influence on how this should be done, it wouldn't be this way. But here we are, and we'll just keep adapting and pivoting so we can stay alive and keep making videos and keep this community alive and well. As long as we have your support, there's no stopping us. Peter VZ with a €1 contribution. Hey, Peter Lecoq is going to bed. All right, well, thanks for hanging out with us, Peter. We're just waiting on this update to finish. This is a big one. And then we'll restart one more time. I can run Crystal Disk Mark. And then I'll open up the bottom of it here. We'll take a look at how easy it is to access it. And then that'll wrap up today's video. We've got about 20 minutes left of the show. Bill says, I'm grateful to be a real member. Right on. Well, we're grateful to have you, Bill. Sincerely. Christopher Horton says, as a content creator myself, I get that. For every thank you I get on my channels, I get a you're wrong. Yeah. What good does that do? Are you going to go back and remake the video because some stranger online with no authority and no history or any sort of verification that they have any expertise in what they're talking about? You don't even know who they are. I mean, they don't even bother to introduce themselves, explain why you should care about their opinion. If Mr. Beast wants to give me some video advice, I'd love to hear it. But if Mr. Feast wants to give me some video advice, I don't know who that is and don't really care. So consider the source is all I'm saying. When a member wants to talk to me, that's different. Of course, I know they're real, genuine people that support the channel. They will have my ear. When a free viewer wants to get more free stuff, and so they're asking because, you know, what I've given them isn't enough, I don't typically bother responding. It just already cost me enough. So now what? I'm going to invest more? I got to have it to invest it. All right, let's see. Bill wants to know, did you ever get my email showing you my new computer? Paul Connolly says, thanks, Carey and Mara. My membership is worth every penny. Well, I hope so. I do try to make sure that there's incentive for the members, that you are getting something back that I hope you find of value that regular viewers don't get, which includes the members only shows and the ability to interact with me. So again, without you guys, there wouldn't be videos for the free viewers to watch. Did I get an email from Bill? Let's see. How long ago did you send that, Bill? We're still waiting on this install. I'm just stalling, waiting on this install. It says a week ago. Which email address did you send it to? I get so many emails and messages, contact requests every single day that I often can't remember from one day to the next unless we're having an ongoing conversation over the course of time. It gets processed and I move on to the next thing. So if yours didn't require a response, I probably saw it and then forgotten. Or I didn't see it. I don't know which one it is. That's how crazy things are. Mitch has sent us a couple videos, but I don't have them ready to air yet. Mitch is in New Zealand right now. I think he's in Auckland. And he's going to be bungee jumping off, I think it's the Harbor Bridge. And he should have, they should video that for him. And then he should share, I think he's going to share that video with us. And then maybe what I'll do is, I think there are 4 short videos from him in various places of Australia. And then this one from New Zealand. And maybe we'll get one more when he goes back to Sydney. And then from Sydney flies back to the US in the next week or two. And then of course, we'll see him again at Studio C after he's returned. I don't see anything from you. If you want to send it again, I might have seen it. So I'm guessing what you built a new PC, or you've got a mini PC and you were just showing me, or what? Did I send you a computer? No idea. I deal with so many people, and Bill is a very common name. I know a lot of Bills and a lot of Daves. Hey, Carey, it's Steve. Okay, which Steve is it? So don't take it personally. Bill said it's a new computer. So what did you build, Bill? Or did you buy something? You didn't buy a pre-build, right? You built something yourself. Wayne Ellison said he worked as an electronic tech from 1973 to 2015. He's now retired and he loves watching my videos. Right on. Thank you, Wayne. I love it when somebody is an expert in a related industry that can appreciate the logic and the reasoning of what I'm explaining from a business standpoint instead of from an enthusiast standpoint. Sometimes the enthusiasts can't wrap their head around the accountability and consequences of making decisions that are, eyeing a higher profit, or making a fix faster than making it right, and leading to a customer thinking you don't know what you're doing. When people are only working for themselves and they never worked in the industry, there's a massive disconnect about how things are done with regards to liability and accountability. They don't have any accountability. They never have with regards to that. They're just enthusiasts. So there's, it's like anything else. If you enjoy going to the park and playing baseball with your friends on the weekends, you're an enthusiast. But if you and your friends decide to start a league and you have to wear a uniform and be at the park on this day at this time, they're counting on you to be there. If you're not there, they might have to forfeit the game, or they might not win the game without your skills. Now it's an obligation and a responsibility, and you're held accountable to your team to show up and do your job. That kind of takes the fun out of it, But there's a different approach. If you're just there with friends and you're just hanging out loose and you're swinging the bat around, throwing the ball around, nobody's keeping score. He said Bill says he did a rebuild. He bought a pre-built from a friend, SkyTech. And then what did you do to it? You upgraded it how? Just more RAM and storage, or did you change the motherboard? Did you gut it completely? SkyTech makes good machines for pre-builts. I mean, you're still better off, in my opinion, building it yourself. But if you want to start with a pre-built, SkyTech's pretty good. iBuyPower is pretty good. Christopher says it's the same way in the music industry, Carey. There are collectors and there are hobbyists. And then there's the pros that do this for a living, and there's a big difference. Well, anytime you do something for a living, you're held accountable. And the quality of your work is going to measure or be judged by the customer as to whether or not they ever want to come back and give you any more business or refer you to their friends. And your business can live or die on that. Or if you work in an industry, like when I worked as a tech at Intel, I had to do a certain number of repairs every day or every month or however they were gauging it, that everybody in the IT department was in a certain average. And if you were not within the average of your peers, you were going to have a talking to get your act together, or you're going to lose your job. You're going to be let go. On the other hand, if you're fixing way more computers on average than your peers are going to hate you and try and sabotage you because now you're making them look bad. See, hobbyists don't deal with any of this at home. There's drama and politics, and you're measured and weighed constantly. Constantly. What did you get done today? How many people have you helped? You want a raise? Why should you get a raise? What have you done to deserve that? All right, we'll give you a nickel. You screwed up. You really screwed up. We're going to let you go. One mistake, but it was a mistake to a manager or a high up in the company. They don't want you here anymore. Some pressure in that. It does take away some of the fun. On the other hand, it's very rewarding in the sense of there's so much work to do. And if you enjoy solving problems, most people are very grateful when you fix their computer. They say, thank you. That's mostly all praise. But when I worked with somebody who had bad hygiene, customers were complaining to the bosses that he smelled terrible when he showed up at their desk to fix their computer. He's fine with the quality of his work, but he needs to take care of his personal hygiene. So they had a private meeting with him, which I imagine was about this topic. And other coworkers were talking about it. And nothing changed. The guy still showed up to work, smell him 3 feet away. And they said, after a week of this, they said, we don't think you're a good fit here anymore. We're going to go ahead and let you go. Now you sit at home in your room. If you don't want to shower for a week or wear deodorant, knock yourself out. That's not something you necessarily do for you. That's something you do for other people that have to smell you. All right, we're almost done. That is a big, big cumulative update. And I thought I had this all updated so we could avoid this step on these live videos. So I'm going to just have to double check and be more thorough in the future. As a reminder, Studio C has a much faster internet connection. So if we have to do this at Studio C, our download will be much faster. The installing part of it will be the same, but the downloading part will be much, much faster. Mark Gaines says hello from Northern Ireland. Welcome in, Mark. Slancha. Cheers. What else do I know? Bill says he put a Samsung SSD in Evo. Oh, an NVMe drive? All right. I love to see people get empowered and self-reliant. So whether you just changed out your storage drive or you changed out your motherboard and your CPU and your cooler, either way, the fact that you did it yourself and that it's all done presumably correctly because it still works and you want to share that story with me, please send me an email and tell me the story. I love that. It's so inspiring, and I'd love to share it with others to inspire them. So right on, Bill. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Christopher Horton says, an attitude of gratitude. Yeah, well, it's easy to say. You can't make somebody else have gratitude. If they don't have it, that's their own suffering. If they want to suffer, let them. But it's so much more rewarding to inspire each other. It really is. It's far more sustainable and personally puts you in a much better place mentally, just with your overall outlook of the world around you. So you get what you give. If you're given negativity, you're going to get negativity back. If you're being inspiring, you'll likely be inspired back. So that's just kind of the way the world works. You want to be a jerk, you're going to attract other jerks. You want to be a nice guy, you're going to attract other nice guys. So that is a general overall truth. There are some exceptions, but overall, that's primarily seems to be how the universe works. So you decide what you want, and then that's what you give. Then you're patient and wait for the process. And if you want to be a jerk and you want to complain all the time, you're just attracting more things to complain about, more jerks around you to complain about. So it's up to you to change that pattern. Okay, so right now we're at the 30% mark of the update. It is a big, big update. Surprisingly, 23H2 was faster than this. But I do think the updates are important. You should be grabbing them. You should not be putting them off. The internet is a very dangerous place. And those updates that they spend millions of dollars on for programmers and testing and then download bandwidth, they're not giving that away for free because they want to. They're doing it because they have to. And if you turn that away because you think the updates are bad, you're setting yourself up to be an easy target from the hackers that will be using the latest hardware, who know why those updates were released because they reverse engineered them. And if you don't have it, they know exactly what your vulnerability is. And you're an easy target, you're easy pickings. They can ransomware you, they can steal your identity. If you want to do that, knock yourself out. I don't know why you'd want to. So the updates are free. You don't have to stop everything you're doing to do your updates, but I would suggest you do set aside some time when you have time to make sure you're fully updated. Whenever you're ready, you don't have to do it right now. It doesn't have to interfere with anything you're doing. Mark Gaines says the new Deadpool movie is released. Oh, isn't it? It looks good. All the Deadpool movies, both of them are good. Ryan Reynolds is fantastic. That might be movie theater worthy. I don't know. I haven't been to a movie theater in a long time. Okay, hopefully we are going to be fully updated now. We're only down to about 10 minutes left on today's show. So I'm going to try and, once again, move quickly. Wow, whatever that was, that cumulative update was massive. It was at 2 restarts and it was still updating. Crazy. Oh, Mara has joined us right here towards the end of the show. Welcome back. Okay, so now I'm going to torture myself. Check one more time. See if there's any more updates. We want to keep repeating this until this comes back and says there's no more. We should be there now. Just want to verify before we move forward. Jason said the last time he went to a theater was to see Star Wars. Was that 1977? May 25th, 1977? When did Star Wars come out? Keyboard not working. Look at me, I'm such a nerd. May 25th, 1977. I'm so proud of myself. Right off the top of my head. I'm like a human Google. I'm like a Hugel. Google. This is taking a bit longer than I expected. So I just want this to finish. I want to make sure we're up to date. And then we'll shut it down. We'll turn on the overhead camera, which I can start working on while we're waiting. And then I'll take the bottom off of it and you'll see how accessible it is. Right here, it says you are up to date. That's what I wanted to see. Let's shut it down now. Oh, wait, Crystal Disk Mark, I did run that earlier. So the drive they're including is a Gen 4 drive, and it's a mid-range Gen 4 drive with 4800 on the reads, sequential reads 3500 or 3400 on the sequential writes. You can replace it with a faster drive. This should read up to 7400 if you had a high-end Gen 4 drive. However, they would have to charge more for the unit if they included that. Most people want to pay the lower price. So if you wanted to, let's just say, if you said, okay, I want to replace that NVMe drive with one that Carey talked about that can do 7400. Let's go to the overhead camera. Oh, look at that view. What a mess. Okay. Oh, it's a good thing I'm wearing pants. I'm kidding. Let's go back over here. And let's make some adjustment. I got to bring the camera down. If you're motion sick easily, look away because this takes a minute. All right. I just need to be able to reach the camera to make some adjustments here. So I'm going to bring the mini PC over here. And then we need to zoom this in a little bit. And we need to tilt it. Which way do we need to go? This. That'll work. Okay. Definitely unplug power from this bad boy before you work on any computer. Even though it's off, it's still got power. So unplug it. Safety first. Not safety for you, by the way. Safety for the device. Okay, here's the underside of it, and we got some rubber feet, and I'm going to guess this is similar to the GD90 if I recall correctly. These feet, you should be able to just grab a corner, pull them up. They are stuck on, unfortunately. I don't like when case manufacturers do that. Where's the screw? See, look at what happened. All the sticky tape stuck to the base, not to the foot. So what that means is to put this foot back on, this foot won't stick without the tape. They didn't give us any extras. So I got to make sure that foot goes back on that corner. And you can see there's like a round hole right there, right through the tape. And what I'll do is I'll grab my JAS Philips Zero driver here, and we'll just punch a hole right through that. And it should bite onto the screw, and it should, you know what, the screwdriver's, it's too wide, believe that or not. I'm going to have to use a more narrow driver. So I guess I'm going to have to get my precision drivers out, which is pretty unusual on a mini PC that I would need these smaller precision drivers. Now, when we look at the precision drivers, there's one that's bigger than all the others right here at the end. This is a number 1 Philips, and that will probably, yep, that just fits right before we see that orange lip there. It goes in just to the edge of that, because otherwise that orange lip would be too wide to fit any further down into that hole, and I have to use a narrow, basically you need a really narrow driver for this. That's all I'm trying to say. Okay, that screw is out. I want to make sure that that foot is going to go back to that corner. Now, you could use a spudging tool to get up underneath the foot and maybe, you know, get up, make sure you're underneath the sticky tape. Really wish they didn't use tape on here. So you're going to be okay the first time you open it, you know what I mean, as far as the tape sticking still when you put the feed back on. But the more you do it, the less the tape, the adhesiveness of the tape goes away. So once again, the rubber foot has separated from the sticky tape. So I'm going to put that one there. So with the serial number facing me, we know that the foot on the right goes there and the left goes there. It probably doesn't matter because neither one of them looks like they have any adhesive on them at all. We'll punch a hole once again. You can see there is a, you can see the hole right there in the corner. We'll just punch right through that. And you'll feel it when it bites into the head of the screw, and then we just unscrew that. Now the adhesive may get in the way of the screw coming out. In this case, the screw came out with the driver, which is fine. Now this time, as I peel the foot up, see, nope, the adhesive is still The adhesive is still sticking. Very little of the adhesive is sticking on the foot when I remove it. Once again, same deal. We're going to punch a hole right through the adhesive because I don't want to remove the adhesive from here. At least that side is going to stay sticky. The exposed side is the side that's going to lose its adhesiveness. Adhesiveness? I think that's a word. Now all the screws are the same, so you don't have to put them in any order. Okay, last one. Am I going to get the adhesive sticking to the base? Yes, the adhesive is sticking. So at least it's consistent all the way around. That came off super clean. There's not a bit of adhesive. That thing just like brand new out of a package. You never know it had adhesive on it. All right. So finally, you're going to see the last one here. You can see the little hole there. We're going to puncture that. So that's the worst part, I guess, is that they didn't, you know, say make these feet more if this was triangle shaped, so that fit sort of like right over like that, right? That would have been great if they would have put the foot on like that. Then you'd still have access to your screws. I think they do that because they don't want you getting in here, but I mean, it's your product, and if you want to open it up, you should be able to, and they should make that friendly. I mean, they tell you at the front right here with the arrow, we've got this little slot. So I guess they figure if you're smart enough to know the screws are under the feet, then we'll assist you. But if you don't know how to open it, good, keep it closed. I sure would appreciate just a triangle-shaped foot, just offset a little bit. Now, as far as like getting this lid up, you can use a flat blade driver. So I have in my jeweler's drivers, flat blade. Just be careful. You don't want to mar the plastic. You could also use like a guitar pick or a credit card, something plastic. And then this lid should just pop right up with nothing attached to it, I hope. Feels like this screw is not all the way out. Can't use a flat blade to get that out. I gotta use it. There we go. Now I know I have all 4 screws out. So something is still holding us in on this side. Don't know what's holding us in here. Don't force anything. Here's what it looks. Here's what I'm missing. The back of this is L-shaped. It's not, the end of this is not here. The end of this is right here. You see this? You see this seam? That's a part of this back. So we have to move this. So when I try to take this off, just so you can see where my struggle is, because we do this live, right? When you see me try to lift this off, you'll start to see that seam. And what that's telling me is I need to take this off straight. I'm not going to bend it and take it off. I need to lift it straight up. And they don't make that real easy, because by giving us this little pull here, I would just think this square is what I have to remove. But you've got to consider this whole other piece of it, which all the ports are sticking through, because you don't want to break that. It's very important. And this is how people, they go, oh, I'm just going to upgrade the RAM. And this is how they break their machines. So there's no way I can break that. It's super easy. Sometimes not real super easy to get the machine open. So on this design, what we need to do is we need to get up under here and lift it away. And the problem is all of these ports, well, some of these ports are sticking through the holes. And so the holes are getting caught up on the ports. So this needs to be pulled away so it can be lifted out. So one of the ways we can do that is you get something in here, just pull it up, and then we should be able to just twist this, and it should just come right off without any struggle. If you're struggling, you're doing it wrong. Just when you're working with computers, that's something to keep in mind. You should never, ever have to struggle unless you're doing it wrong. So slow down, reassess, do some Google searches if you need to. Now here at the bottom of the PC, we've got our NVMe drive with a heat shield or a heat sink on it. We've got our Wi-Fi card right here, super easy to change. We've got 2 RAM modules, so we're in dual channel mode. Very easy to get to, DDR4. Our CMOS battery right here, easy to access. This connector here looks like it's for a little fan, or okay, this connector, this one, this is likely for your 2.5-inch drive that you can install in the lid, but in doing so, you'll be trapping the heat in here. You'll be making the heat in this unit. Any mini PC will be worse. Where is this going to be? I can't. Right there. So very easy to access everything. There's no reason to get to this side. That's where your CPU is. If you needed to dust this, you'll just blow air through here. You'll blow air through here, and you'll blow air through here. And if you want to take the bottom off and blow air through here, but the bottom is so vented, you don't have to. You don't have to get every speck of dust out of it. You just want to get the buildup out of there so the machine doesn't run hot. Because if you get a lot of dust, it acts like you're putting on a coat. It's an insulator. Make it hot. That's all there is to it. Real easy to access. Just the worst part is these feet. That's the worst part of it. Bob R said you can use double-sided tape to put them back. Yeah, you're right, but I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to get tape of my own and then cut it so it's not overlapping and it's thin enough that the feet still sit flush. I don't want to use that foamy, thicker double-sided tape because that'll make it look terrible. I just wish I didn't have to take the feet off, or the feet had a hole in them so that you didn't have to remove the feet. The feet are going to go back on and they're going to stick okay. But the more you do this, the more that you're going to lose that adhesive. So eventually you will have to change figure out a way to stick them. I've seen people use glue guns, but then it's just messy and makes it even harder the next time you have to work on it because the glue falls into the hole. It's just a big mess. Completely avoidable. However, this is the machine. When you put the lid on, there is going to be a little groove around the edges, and you want to make sure you get it into that groove. So when you align this, pay careful attention. You see this edge right here? We don't want to be outside of that. We want to be on the inside. And then the ports are going to resist you, right? The ports are going to say, hey, we're in the way. And there's little tabs right here that are going to lock in. So you've got to get it aligned with this side. And that may require a little bit of pressure. There, it fell into place. Make sure you just run your finger along it. Everything should be at the same level. Nothing should be sticking up or down. All your ports should be visible. And now we can put the screws back in. All right, so as I reassemble this, we're running a little late. So any questions you have, I'm happy to address those. And then we're going to wrap it up for today. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock Pacific time, we're happy to bring on our friend Begowden. Begowden knows more about Acronis than anybody I've ever met. And he's been an Acronis expert for as long as I can remember. You can get free support at reddit.com/Acronis. And Begowden will likely be the one who responds to you, although I think he's getting help now. But it's an alternative way, instead of going through the traditional create a service ticket, you can just go on Reddit, make your post, and it's community supported. So not only will you get a response from Look out and you'll get a response from the general community trying to help you, trying to answer your question. I guess at this point, it doesn't even matter which foot goes on. They all came off without tape. Every single one of them. Other than that, super easy to get into, you know? So that's how you can get 3 monitors, a display port, an HDMI, and this Type-C connector here will work as a display port. So it'll be display port on one end of the cable, Type-C on the other end, and then all 3 monitors can run at 4K simultaneously. Pretty darn cool, especially if you're a day trader or stock trader or somebody that needs 3 screens. I know people like 2 screens. Very few people actually use 3 or more than 3. But it's nice to have the option without having to spend any more money. All right, should be booting up now, as long as I didn't break it. Of course, we didn't really do anything. As far as, you know, we didn't take anything out of there. We just opened it up and took a look on the inside. It's all in there, but that's how you get to it. And that's how easy it is to upgrade it. So under $400 for what was flagship processor 2 years ago. Actually, I think it was a flagship processor last year because, as I mentioned, I don't think there's any 14th gen mobile processors. They do have the Ultra processors out on the laptop side of things, but not on the desktop side yet. Go full screen back over here to camera 1. My friends, Peter, Oystein, Frankie B, Paul Gray there in Australia. You guys rocks. You're so supportive. I cannot thank you enough. For all my members in green, Peter and Daryl and Mark and Christopher, Bob R, and Al Perez and Dustin Fuller, Bill, Sony T, Christopher Horton, all 1961, all of you guys in green, joining us in the chat and supporting the channel, Paul Connolly. Thank you guys so much. Our friends at Acronis who support us here, offering you a 30% discount. Our friends at RoboForm for password management, also offering you guys new users a discount. And our friends at VIP CDK Deals, offering you a discount off the already low prices. You get an additional 30% off. All of the details are in the video notes of all the videos I make. These aren't traditional sponsorships. These are products that I really use in the real world for my real customers to maintain my real business. And I've reached out to them to ask them if they would partner with us to offer you guys a discount on the product I'm using anyway. So if you want to buy it, buy it. If you don't, don't. They all have free trials. You can download the free trial, decide if you like it before you buy it. And I personally guarantee everything is as advertised. If you have any problems at all, they will resolve it. If you've reached out to whoever it is with your problem and it is not resolved, then you bring it to my attention and I will resolve it. I want you to know you have 100% peace of mind that I will not promote anything here that's sketchy, illegal, or unprofessional. That's how we roll. And other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. And again, for all the free viewers, we certainly hope you enjoy the free content. We hope you'll come back and enjoy it some more. We hope one day you'll join us as a member and help support the channel so we can expand and grow rather than just survive. We're in just survival mode right now. You're just trying to make it, you know. Everything could turn around tomorrow, but you have to be around tomorrow for that to happen. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you all again very, very soon. And of course, thanks to Mara for doing all the work and administration that goes on in the background to keep us moving forward. I will see you all again tomorrow, live, 1 p.m. Pacific time, as always. Joined live with McGowden from Acronis. So if you have any computer backup or Acronis questions, please leave them in the comments below this video or join us in the live chat and you can interact with us live as members. That'll wrap it up for me for today. I will see you all again tomorrow at 1 p.m. Until next time, bye for now. I'm looking for an outro, and I don't want to run any of these. One more time, the link for the Kodlix in the Amazon with the special that's going on right now, all in the video notes as well. I do recommend this. I do like it. I like the reputation of Minis Forum. My only complaint is rubber feet. But for the price, I think I can look past it. All right. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye for now.